Welcome to this week of Beanie and Boom, the podcast. And we got another very special guest, as we do every week. But this is our guy. This is like our guy. Obviously, guys that we've had on the show have been our teammates. Yeah. But this is our guy that has shown us so much. And, you know, I'm going to just say it, man. Yo Gotti got an album called The Art of Hustle. Cory G has shown us the art of hustle. Cory Gregory, I don't even know how to, intro.
My mom don't even know what to tell people I do.
It's so damn crazy. He got so many jobs. It's ridiculous. But we can start off with one-time former owner and former co-founder of MusclePharm Fitness, a fitness guru, a fitness model. Dude's abs is fucking crazy. Owner and founder of Max Effort, which is, if you don't know, get it in depth, in tune with what Max Effort is, and we'll talk more about it. It's a supplement company that's killing it, and owner of the best fucking gym in the world, Old School Gym. Yeah. If you want to go work out and you want to get your ass kicked and you want to feel good about getting your ass kicked and look good, the Old School Gym is a place to be. Cory G, man, welcome.
What up, man? Appreciate you guys. I'm glad to be here. Man. Glad to be here. Been looking forward to it all day.
For sure.
No, I appreciate the intro. Like everything fitness, man. I've been on all sides of it. Everything from gym ownership, personal training, helping Boom when he was in the league, when Beanie got out of the league, trying to get in shape, and getting in shape now, which I was showing him love before the show.
Yes,
I'm on my second supplement business, done a bunch of magazine stuff, but I'm just all in, man. I'm just a weightlifter that feels blessed that he got to turn it into a job.
Man, that's a beautiful thing to be able to love what you do,
love it,
and to be able to make a profit from. Not everybody can make money from loving what they do, and not just from the workout aspect, but G, you love everything that you do, and that's why everything is so fucking successful. And
thanks, man.
We switching it up a little bit. Normally on these shows we hit more on Ohio State. And what guys got going on with their careers after football. But
sure,
man, I want to change this a little bit and kind of, hit on what I said at the beginning of the show, man, the art of hustle. I mean, how did you manage to be able to dive headfirst into so many things and to be able to grind, experience the pitfalls and come out on top?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some of the shit we want to hit on.
Before you go through that, I want you to explain to people, give them the whole breakdown. Tell them where you from, how you grew up.
Yeah,
man, I know these stories, but a lot of people don't know it. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's good to, especially with you guys, because as an athlete, I realized, probably as a sophomore in high school, man, I was shooting 1,000 jumpers, right? But I was still only averaging 4 a game, bro. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I knew pretty early on that wasn't going to be my path.
Right.
But what I started to realize is that the only thing I like to do is train. And I seen it in my high school friends. I was writing programs for them back then, reading my Arnold magazines. This is previous to the internet, right? So, because I'm 40, so it's I'm doing this in the late 90s, and that's the only resources I had. But I saw the way it was building their confidence. I saw the way they was feeling, and I had built myself up from training. My grandfather showed me how to train. My dad trained, and I started to think man, this could if I could turn this into a job, this would be me going pro in a sport.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the way I look at it, right? I used to mess with Boom all the time. Am my business getting to that league minimum, Boom? So it's one of those things where I always kind of looked at it if I could find a way to go pro in my passion, that's really what it was. And just like y'all's was with football and now other ventures, for me, training has always been that. And to Boom's point, grew up in a trailer. Mom's rent was $150 a month rent. Got a job as a coal miner to save money to move to Columbus, to become a Buckeye, living on campus when Maurice was balling out. Yeah. That's when I came up here, we're
going to talk about that too.
99, 2000. And so I just had a lot of aspirations because I was tired of watching my family struggle. And that's really where all this is rooted. So it's a perfect storm of being fed up with the situation, finding what I love to do, and then just pulling it all together with something that's hard to even probably explain. The fires just burn so deep.
Man, that's beautiful right there. Beautiful music. Finding what you love to do. And that's something that's hard for a lot of guys. I mean, we see it all the time, and I'm sure you do too. I mean, people get in these careers, and they're making good money. They're enjoying that. For a lot of us, we played football.
Yeah.
You play basketball. You work out or whatever. You love what you're doing, but when that shit is done, man, how do you decipher, okay, what's next and what am I going to love outside of what I've been doing for so long?
And that's tricky. And so I would tell you that media is the first thing I felt that way with. Like anything. So people a lot of people always show me love for my business and the things that I've accomplished. But what they don't realize is training's the thing that dominates my thoughts. That's really I care more about my squat number than I do about my business number. A lot of people don't realize that about me. The other stuff's just a byproduct of me being able to understand how I can monetize it and help people, right? Media is the first thing that when I saw the similar impact of the stuff I was spitting, sharing these stories, when I saw that kind of help change people, it's similar to the training. So then I started to have a love for that too. And so the podcast Business and Biceps I got with Maurice Clarett and John Fosco, when I started to see the impact that was creating, I started to have a similar love as I do for training. So business is a good challenge for me, but it's all really based around these things that are helping people. It's addicting,
Right.
I mean, G, you're a person who definitely has helped multiple people, include myself,
Thanks,
that is great. I mean, with everything that you have going on, I would just like to ask you, how do you manage with everything that you have going on? How do you manage that?
It's so a lot of people ask me about why I train so early in the morning, right? So I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. I start workouts at 4. It's out of necessity. I didn't wake up. I used to train at 7.
Right.
Then I trained at 6. Then I trained. So as I got busier, because competing still as a drug-free natural athlete, I compete in bodybuilding, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, all this stuff. It's that's what drives my content. That's what drives me, and having those goals in the gym. So out of necessity, they had to start so no one's calling me, bugging me. My family's asleep, 4 to 6. After that is done, then the rest of the day kind of falls in line, but it's a tight line though.
Yeah.
So to be able to be a dad of 3, I have 4 or 5 businesses and train and compete still, it's a really disciplined schedule. But
you got to start your day early.
You got to start your day early, and I don't even mind it. To me, it don't even stress me. I love it. So that's the thing is people are like, oh my gosh. I'm like, no, if you only had that time to do what you absolutely love to do, that's when you would do it. And that's when I do it. And for me, I've got a good group called the 4 a.m. crew that's there. We're 20 deep. And it's basically like my team.
Yeah.
It's like the locker room. It's like what you guys miss when you're not on the squad no more. Every player I've known, I'm friends with a bunch of players, they all miss it.
Yeah.
They all miss it. You miss the crowd, you miss all that, but you miss the guys.
I'll tell you something about that 4 a.m. crew. I know I'm not there all the time, but when I do get the chance to get there, you
don't even know what time it is, bro.
You don't know what time it is, but I'm telling you.
When's the last time you been, man? You ever talk about when's the last time you fucking been to the 4 a.m. crew?
It's been probably about 6 months.
It's been a while. I'm saying, but
he has experienced it before, Beanie.
Hey, I have experienced it, and I tell you, once you get around that group of guys and the music going, and you just in the gym, man, you just feel that energy just make you want to come back. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, that shit is hard to get up at.
But once you walk in the door.
You know how they say the hardest thing about the gym is getting there.
Just getting there,
man.
You
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the camaraderie is where it's at, man. I think that here's the thing. When people, are done with team sports, they're done with structured practices. They're done with goal setting. They're done with that butterflies of, oh, shit, we got Michigan this weekend. I'm running out the tunnel.
Yeah.
That shit's over, right?
Yeah.
So it's I push these guys, accountability, be there. And Mo Lee, who played with Clarett, he started coming probably 4 months ago. I'm like, brother, it's time you got to do a meet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, time to get some butterflies back. You feel me? And he's like, gee, I got to wear that singlet. I was like, nah, we'll go to one of the meets where you got to wear the singlet.
Oh, man,
that's shorts in the tank. No singlet.
That's so funny, right? So I think that's, I'm just trying to keep that atmosphere because that's what most athletes miss, and me included.
I mean, you don't just do the lifting in the morning. You lunging too, man. Talk about this lunging every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so a lot of people, anybody that works out, right, they grab some dumbbells and do 10 reps of lunges. They feel that shit for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And a long time ago, well, not a long time ago, 5 years ago, I did this jump training program because I wanted to dunk. And I think I was 35. And so I was able to dunk, but I gave myself terrible knee tendonitis, to where I could barely walk down the stairs. And so I was trying to figure out a way to fix it. And I started going to the track and just started lunging around the track. And I lunged 400 meters, and I was like, fuck, I could barely walk, right? But my knees started feeling better.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, maybe this. So then I just started going back. And what I started to realize, because I'm kind of a, I don't weigh a whole bunch. I'm like between 180 and 190 most of the time. I've been heavier, but for like my lean kind of look. And regular running and cardio just made my body not look that good, like kind of flat. Yeah. When I started lunging, all my powerlifting numbers started going up, and I just started looking more diesel. So I was like, this shit is hard, but it started transferring over in all my lifts. And for me, I'm listening to podcasts like you guys, listening back to ours, and I look at it as, I call it lunge and learn. So I'm doing 30 minutes roughly or a half mile a day while I'm listening to some material that's making myself better. Sweet. And at the end of the day, it's like I'm just trying to preach like this lifestyle of just constantly trying to improve. And some people can say it's like some hokey bullshit, but it fucking works for me. Yeah. Most motherfucker else that fucking follow it.
But no, take a step back. I want to go back to, obviously, you being back in Steubenville.
Yep.
Being a coal miner, living in the trailer. Then you all of a sudden save money, coming to Columbus.
Yep.
And what's that transition like for you, coming from a small town, doing what you were doing there, to all of a sudden coming to a big city saying, shit, I got to find my way here?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know that can be a culture shock for anybody.
It was.
You've grown up in such a small environment and stepping to, was like New York City, essentially, equivalent to
That's that.
That's
what it felt like,
from,
too. What's so crazy, Beanie, is Dustin and myself both, which Coach Myers, which is the down there at Ohio State with the wrestling team, we stuck out at our high school bad, like just because we had like a little urban feel to us, right? And so we got we got hated on hard, bro. So when I came here and it was like normal to like rap music and go to the club, like that ain't normal where I grew up, especially in that time frame.
Right.
Dude, it felt like a breath of fresh air. So I actually meshed well. Right. I was like, oh shit, there's other people that's like me. This is great. Like they got some style, and I don't never really hate on where I'm from. It just that there's parts of it just never matched up. The work ethic, the steel-toed boots, bench pressing, all this weight after, like I got down with all that stuff too, and I could mesh in that, but there was this whole side of me that just felt really out of place. Right. And so when I came here, and then I realized, oh wait, there is people paying people to be a trainer. That doesn't exist where I'm from. That job doesn't exist. There's these opportunities. Man, it just like, I was like, all right, now I got a chance. Can I be a big fish here? Right. Can I figure out my way here? What's my path? And honestly, and I'm teaching a class there this summer just to kind of challenge myself at Columbus State. I did a 1 year.
Boy, big time. Man.
Yeah, I did. I did a 1 year exercise specialist certificate at Columbus State, and that was the best thing for me because I had never been away from home, so I'm acting a fool just like every other college kid.
Wilding.
Wilding out, having fun, going to the red zone downtown. Yeah, if you remember, right?
No question about it.
I would take check this out. They had a bus. You could get the bus for $1 at that time, back and forth. I'd go to the red zone by myself to pull chicks. I didn't give a shit. So I was out of control. But anyway, so it's like when I went to Columbus State, I started to realize, all right, I can do this 1 year thing, get away from home, figure it out. And I had some teachers there that really kind of pushed me in the right direction. About 6 months into school, I started personal training and started to create like a little bit of clientele on the east side. My dude set me up with a internship, and it turned into where I could start to take some clients. So I started to realize only 6 months into living here, I was only making $20 a session, but I was making 14 in the coal mine, 21 on overtime. First time somebody hit me with that Andrew Jackson to say, hey, let me teach you how to do some fucking bicep curls. I was like, this is a wrap.
This is what I'm doing.
This is what I'm doing. And so I knew, I looked it up. There was no law in Ohio that said you had to have a licensure. I knew that I didn't know as much as these other cats that was doing it, but I was good with people. And so, dude, that's all I needed to see. And within 1 year, I had I did about 6 months. I dipped back to the coal mine to make a little bit more money, came back up, and then I never had to go back home again. And about a year later, after training clients there, I had a little issue at the gym I was at. A guy came in and said, hey, man, we're about to change the whole setup. We're going to start taking 30% of your money. Because I was paying like a barbershop. I was paying $200.
Booth rent, basically.
And I could just do my thing. And they started seeing me. I had about 16 clients at the time, so I was doing well. I was at this like kind of ritzy tennis club. It wasn't really my vibe, but there was some good clientele there. Right. And he came through, and the manager just tried to hardball me. And I was like, yeah, man, cool, whatever. And I just started looking for my own spots. I had no clue what I was doing. Literally, I had a credit because I had spent a bunch of my money. I bought a car, and I wasn't like super financially disciplined at that time. I went ahead and I took a credit card loan for $4,000. It's on 20% interest, and I got a G off my dude. And actually, it was 900 because he spent 100 at the club. And I swear to you, right? And I started my personal training studio in June. I wasn't even 21 yet. I was 20 and a half. I turned 21 in September. I'm painting the walls in my first little private studio, and it was like for under $5,000. That's how it all started, bro.
And I remember seeing the pictures that you post on social media.
So crazy.
Of your first gym, man, and kind of watching.
Gym's a stretch.
Right. Your room.
Yeah, my first room. Right. My first room.
Hey, you got to start somewhere though, right?
You know, what's so crazy, guys, is like all this other shit that's wildly happened. If I never made it past that, I was already winning.
Right.
Dude, 3 years before that, I was living in a fucking trailer, thinking about, can I lift weights? Like, I had no clue what I was going to do with my life. I had 16 clients. I was making an income, and it was mine. And so that's what people don't realize. Like, all this other stuff that I always aspired to do was great, but if I never made it past that, I fucking won. And that was at 20.
And you were doing what you wanted to do,
Exactly.
what you loved to do.
100%, man.
And that's hard for, like we talked about, for a lot of people to do. But back to
They're scared to do it.
Exactly. People are scared to step outside of that box and scared to live on a limb. I mean, people want to be comfortable. And in my mind, nothing has ever came good from being in a comfortable state.
Hell no.
Comfortable ain't cool.
And speaking of that, I mean, you can speak to it. I mean, you obviously, you go through training, you're training individuals, but how do you get to the point to where it's like, nah, okay, I'm training, I got my gym, now let me get this supplement company going off the ground, and that's MusclePharm, in which everybody knows MusclePharm at the time.
It was
they were
big.
one of the largest supplement companies in the
Ever.
country.
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys, I want to talk about this too once you get going, but I want to throw it out there right now. I know I'm throwing a whole lot. You guys was the first people to sign Michael Vick fresh out of jail.
Yeah, me and Mike
First
Vick's real
people.
cool.
That shit was crazy. People don't realize that. That
Nah.
was Mike Vick's first contract.
Hey, if you think about some of the guys y'all had though,
Everybody, bro.
Cap,
Yeah, Cap. I'm
Johnny.
real cool with Cap,
Man,
Johnny,
man.
Tiger Woods, Arnold, everybody, bro. My first one was Joey Porter.
JP
Ooh.
Peasy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
But
Joey went right to Miami. So I'll bridge the gap. So what's crazy is a lot of people don't realize a lot of people only know me as the MusclePharm guy, right? Because that's when shit got hot socially. I spent 10 years grinding that personal training business. A lot of people I don't talk about that probably enough. I probably need to. So I didn't start, basically the process was this. I trained clients from 2000 to like 2008. Full time, 5 in the morning, 8 at night, half day Saturday, 30, 40 clients, mostly normal people, some athletes, just banging that. But along that whole time, I started to get kind of a rep for knowing supplements, and because I didn't take drugs, so like diet and supplements around just Columbus. People started coming to me for posing and doing shows and things of that nature. So I started, about 2006, I was like, man, fuck it. I think I can do this shit better than other people. Like I started messing with my own protein. Nothing really came of it. 2008, I met my former business partner, who used to play for the Colts, Brad Pyatt. He was like he was one of the 10 fastest white dudes I think ever hit the league, actually. You look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's top 10 or 15. Anyway, so I met Brad, and we didn't really know each other that well, but he knew of me, and he kind of came to me and said, man, I think like your application the things you got going on, like he knew it could go to a big scale, and we kind of got together and got some pre-workout and some other things together, and he said, hey, I think I want to call this thing MusclePharm. I said, cool, let's do it. And I told my wife, I was like, I think I just became business partners with a dude in Denver I ain't never met before.
Wow.
In person, all based off some conversations and things. And his idea was, hey, the UFC, I didn't even watch the UFC at the time. He's like, the UFC's popping off. We can get in there pretty cheap for marketing. We raise some capital and get moving. And we hit that thing right as it was hitting Spike TV. And we were we came in at the tail end of Tap Out and at the beginning of the UFC on Spike. And I don't think there's a greater marketing story than MusclePharm. From inception to our top year, we did 170 million. Oof. In a 5-year period, and a lot of it was based off, high level endorsements. We tried to be Nike, and we had a shot at it. I mean, there were some things at the end where we were spending so much money, Cap, Manziel, Tiger, Arnold, all these things, and it worked really good. But in any business, there's a time sometimes where you got to like bring the horses back. And I think that that's one thing our executive team didn't do well. So, MusclePharm has a lot of great successes, but there's always the downside of things when you're pushing constantly. But yeah, man, it was a great experience. And dude, right. Like I saw Bryce Harper when Bryce was signed for 330. Dude, I used to help him when he was in the minors and coming up. Like I did all of his programming. I sent him supplements. His first interview with Harold Reynolds on Baseball Tonight, he's wearing a MusclePharm cap. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I saw him when he came to the Michigan game, dapped him up. It was, just so proud of dudes like that. I've seen when they was young, man. They was like fans of the brand.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Exactly.
Motherfucker's the best baseball player on the planet.
Right.
got that big bag.
Yeah, and even
like
Mike Vick. Working with Mike when he came out was a great experience. Mike and I worked with Ocho Cinco too. Ocho Cinco helped me grow my following to a huge level because he was hot as hell on Twitter whenever that was banging. So I got to work with really some of the best, man, and I was privileged. It was fun.
So with that company, obviously you guys are developing. You guys. You hit it big. You're working with a ton of individuals. But at some point, when you get so big, people do what all companies want to do, and that's go public.
Yeah.
And that kind of dwindles down the people that were there at inception.
Absolutely.
Their role and their dominance in which they have in that company. How hard was that? To know that obviously you're going public. Immediately people's ears perk up because it's going to be a lot of money. That's what people see, dollar signs. But to know that you're going to have to give up some creative control.
Sure.
And then ultimately, the control kind of goes and shifts towards whoever's on that board.
Absolutely. That's a major thing. And honestly, Beanie, I didn't know shit about any of that stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that was part of my thing is like I was learning on the fly with a lot of ventures like that. I wasn't some like financial capital raise type of guy. I just filled in the roles that needed to happen. As that process was happening, I really wish, obviously you can never hindsight 2020, understood all the way what was happening.
Right.
So it's like, I don't necessarily think like I got taken advantage of. I think that I wish the squad was stronger that took us public. I wish that I understood more of the dynamics of it. And yeah, you only hear the good sides of, if you go public, you make all this money. And yeah, I was worth on paper X amount of dollars when it went public. But lack of financial discipline from multiple executives and not scaling with the proper people. When you're selling $1 million in a day of product or
crazy.
More, like I would see my email, dude, we'd be selling like 2-3 million in a day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And the logistics that takes, dude, it's a skill set way outside of mine. I can market and sell and get people to retain, and that's what I do, right? To understand that I need 1 million bottles of this in that warehouse, and I just sold 500,000 to Brazil. We're selling 60,000 doors, 100 countries, bro. This is like a whole nother animal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Different.
Yeah. So I don't even like begin to think like I could scale it as a CEO, and I wasn't. I was a president. Then I became like basically like just a senior level guy because that shit was way outside of my skill set.
Right.
But what happens is it can get away from you because of that, and that's really to make a long story short, kind of what happened. And eventually it got to be where I didn't even like it anymore, and that's when it finally had to be like, well, this was a cool ride. I gave everything I had for 7-8 years, but once again, it was uncomfortable. But I was like, I need to do something else. This had its run. I got 1 million great stories. I learned a ton. I apply all that stuff now. But I got up one day and I saw Rach and I was like, you know what? I was like, I think I'm just done. She's like, you just going to call? Like, because my office was in Denver. She's like, you just going to call in there and tell the other executives you just out? I said, I think so. I said, if I ain't steered us wrong yet. So I have, I'll put some things in writing. I can do my site now. I was getting ready to sign with Reebok as an athlete, which I was proud of. I'd never done that before.
It's big time.
Yeah, right. And so, especially for working out, that was cool. And so, it was just time. It's funny because my life has been split in 3 spots. I had the first 8 or 10 years of trainer Cory, and then I had these like 7-8 years of like the MP dude, which kind of took it to another point. And now I got the post MP of all this media and these new other businesses I'm creating. So it's like it was just about time. I think it was cool.
And I love the story and why I'm asking, because the shit, and I don't even know if you realize it mirrors what so many football guys go through.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
So you're on this grind.
Yeah.
Coming up. You grinding, you working hard to get that scholarship. You get that scholarship, you grinding at school to ball to get an opportunity to get drafted in the league. You're in the league now. You got the dollar signs, you got the bright lights.
Yep.
And then once that leaves, once you're done, you
Yeah,
retire
it's
from
true,
the league.
Beanie.
Are they still going? What
Is they still gonna love me?
Yeah, it is.
Mitch saying,
it is very-
I can leave the league, but are they still going to love me?
All right.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
you leave that situation, and now you blossom into something else that's completely, well, not really completely different, but it's different in
yeah.
terms of the number of different things that you have going on, and you're blossoming.
And the exposure
now.
is different. I mean, it's a different level. Like I went from a huge retail shiny light level to more of like a, grassroots, direct to customer type of thing. So it doesn't have as much glitz to it all the time, right? So yeah, it's very similar, and that's probably why I identify with so many athletes. I think that's
Same grind.
it's similar, right?
Yeah.
And I always I've just made stuff in my head up all these years. I always thought I was an athlete anyway, so I was just fucking same shit, basically.
You are,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, so it's like in my income is still honestly directly reflective of my performance to some degree every day. So I mean, if I'm not in shape, my numbers are down.
Right.
If I'm in shape, my numbers is up. It literally is not much different. So it's dude, I'll tell you what, it's such a crazy ride. But that shit happened so fast because it was like one of these dudes that I know from my podcast, his name's Nick Swinmer. He started Zappos, and he actually owns part of the Warriors too. Dude's a boss, right? And so he told me when Bezos, the dude from Amazon, bought out Zappos, he's like, look, man, he's like, they bought that. First of all, they bought that shit for $835 million, right?
Nothing to Bezos.
Hey, right? Yeah, exactly. During the process of their deal, the stock went up. So it actually ended up being $1.1 billion when he was done. But he said every day that company was growing so fast that he was $50,000 credit line from losing it. Like he said it was unbelievable. And so it makes me like understand like that's how our shit was.
Right.
We was pushing so fucking hard to be Nike of supplements that it felt like that constantly. Like these things, if you don't raise this much money, you're gonna lose the company. If we don't get, I had to pay Anderson Silva so he don't do this, and get Cap, that's the next athlete, and all these things. It's just that crazy, and you got to be half crazy to try to pull it off.
Right.
So going through that, it makes the shit I'm doing now. I'm like, shit's a fucking walk in the park, bro.
It's cake because you done seen it at the highest of
Highest
the highest
level,
level.
100%.
And that's, one of the things that, I like to take from my time playing in the league. I was at the highest level.
Right.
And I got there, and you got there.
Yep.
Many people can't do that shit. There's so many people out there that want to be the top CEO, the top executive, and you were at that in your respective craft.
Yep.
And whatever you do after that, to me anyways, whatever I do after that is going to be easy because I know the grind of what it takes to be at the highest of the high. Many people can't say that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It felt good to reach that, and it was, I mean, when you get to the point where like, and I'm sure you guys have had this happen too, like you're either business partners or cool with like your idols. Like when I did the deal with Arnold Schwarzenegger and I'm like working with him on a regular basis and like we're homies, I go to his house for Christmas.
That's what
like
I see,
still,
that gotta
like,
be crazy as hell.
Man, what? I remember like I was out in LA the first time I started working with him, and he was like, he's like, I got the Christmas party tonight. Why don't you come up? It was like, I wasn't like on the list yet, but I was in town. He's like, just come on up to the house. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm up in that bitch like James Cameron, Sylvester Stallone. I mean, like, that was when Hustle and Flow was out. It was Terrence Howard. I like went to the bathroom and passed Terrence Howard. I was like, this motherfucker. Like, and so I'm out on the back porch, and he always got like the dude rolling cigars back there. Just, I mean, it's like some epic shit.
Yeah.
I'm back here smoking a cigar on Arnold's porch. Like, how the fuck did this shit happen, boy?
From Steubenville.
Yeah, right. and so yeah, me and him still real cool. He's helped me a lot, and what I love about dealing with him is that dude got no ceiling, bro. Like none. You think about it, he came here, didn't even speak the language. He did what he loved, and then he said he was going to be, like they said his accent was a detriment, but he turned it into a fucking plus with all these one-liners. Everything this guy's done has been at the highest level. So like even just being around him for a few minutes, you just grab that there is just no fucking top to this thing, bro. And so being around, that's why I always tell people, get around people that if you can and you're able to see how they operate.
Yeah.
Because when you see how they operate and you see what's really under the hood, you're like, that's what it takes.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't really know what it takes to be in the NFL, to be a professional at that level, or to run a business like I do or have. They don't understand what it really takes. They think they know, but until you go and actually witness it, then you can apply to get to that level. Not everybody aspires for that though.
Man, that's one thing that you do, man. You
Try.
inspire, and that's why I love being around you, man. Like,
Thanks, Boom.
Like Benny said, man, you's the ultimate hustler, man. The ultimate just gotta get things done, man. I mean, you get the thing done.
I'm like the sixth man, bro. I had to.
Nah,
That's my mentality though. Boom. It was like I could never get into the starting shit. That's what I felt. I shoot all these jumpers. I do all these weights. I always was like that tweener type of athlete, and I think I just carried that on into business, and that's why. Yeah. So it's like I'm shooting for this, and a lot of times it ends up here. Even like when I would do the magazine stuff, I was always like 15 pounds lighter because most of them dudes is on drugs.
Right.
So like I was always like getting like second. Yeah. So I'd be like, but 8 years later, I finally started getting first. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like been my MO pretty much my whole career.
Jay, if you can go back in time and you can, make one decision or do something differently as it attributes to business or training, I mean, what would it be? What decision would that make you say, I'm going to scale this back a little bit?
I think that I said this on a couple different podcasts before. I think I just speak up more. I think that I'm like a genuinely nice guy. I think you guys know that about me.
Oh,
and so it's like,
sure.
So it's one of those things like a lot of times niceness gets messed up for weakness, right?
Big time.
Until you get hardened up enough from the game.
Yeah.
And so no matter what game you play. And I think that now I'm that guy. So if I'm sitting at the boardroom, I'm confident about my shit. I'm not going to let somebody just run over me or step on me. Even I can say it in a nice way. It doesn't have to be like argumentative, but it can be direct. And actually, my dude John Fosco, who's on the podcast with me, he's like a really dominant personality. Mm-hmm. So like, we don't like argue that much or whatever. But if there's a point that I want to drive home, he's great to practice on. That motherfucker's hard to argue with. He's crazy. So it's like, but I wish I probably would have done that earlier. And I think I had to build the confidence up just like anything else, right? I mean, I come from nothing, so I'm dealing with all these 7-8 figure numbers, and I got these guys across the table that fucking graduated from Cornell that can't sniff half the shit I did.
Right.
But they had that, like, I don't know if it's moxie or whatever, and I'm sitting here like, oh, well, I'm the workout guy, when really I got more skills than them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I had to be more confident to flex that. Now I'm not scared to flex that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only thing. I think I just would have spoke up earlier.
That's key. Be confident about your shit.
Yeah, if you know it, you know it, bro.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what you look like. Just because I eat better than that guy doesn't mean I don't know my shit. Right. I mean, don't hate me because I got abs. Is what I'm saying? Like, they're like, you just tweeting and working out. Oh, okay.
That's what you think.
Yeah, exactly.
We pen to pad and get shit done.
Good question, though.
No, because I always, I'm always curious when I look at successful people. And, they were able to do some incredible things. But I always know we all got our own pitfalls. We all got our own issues and shit that we wish we can change in our lives. And similar to you, I mean, I wish I would speak up a little bit more. I wish I would have in certain situations. And maybe I wouldn't have been taken advantage of in certain business opportunities. And I think we've all been there and we've all lived and learned, and now we like you said, we hardened from the game.
Hey, that's what it is.
Shit ain't happening again. You can. What George Bush said. You fooled me once. Shame on you.
Yeah.
You fooled me once. Don't fool me again.
Exactly. That's the truth, though. But that's life, though. It's never a failure if you learn from it. That's why I don't trip on if things don't go the way that you want them to all the way. It's just a learning. You just move on to the next. You only fail when you give up and you're done.
No question.
Just can't give up, man.
No.
I mean, that's something
Relentless.
that you ain't never did.
Nope.
I mean, I think we all have been through some tough situations that has helped us, elevate in life now today.
Always a blessing on the other side, man.
Absolutely.
If you can make it through.
Yeah,
always.
Now transition into the podcast that you got going on with. No, not even. All right, I want to hold off right there because I want to get into how did you and Mo develop the relationship? You and Maurice Clarett. I mean, you guys are thick as thieves. And I remember when Mo first came home, and I was in old school working out. It was me, Boom, and Dustin. You wasn't there at the time, and he was telling me about you. He said, I met this cat a couple of years ago, and man, he's really been grooming me and hipping me to some game.
Yeah.
And he was talking about you, and here you guys are several years later, still tight as hell, in business together, doing some crazy shit with the podcast.
It ain't easy to be Mo's friend, bro. He don't like that.
No.
I take a lot of pride in that.
Right, Mo don't like nobody.
I know. So the funny thing is about with Mo is so we actually have a connection back home. So in my area, there's only like one or two black families. But one of my guys I played basketball with, Anwar, he's from Youngstown actually. So Anwar's brother is the barber close to where Mo grew up.
Okay.
And so Atlee, who actually was in the 30 for 30, a little piece with Mo at his pro day, the one where he came back after he had been gone a year or so, is Anwar's older brother. And so that's originally how like we kind of knew of each other. And so he had come to old school. We kind of had that kind of connect. And then that's when Mo got in serious trouble and was gone for a while. When he came back to Ohio, MusclePharm had kind of been taken off. And we kind of reconnected through that original kind of knowing each other. And I was like, look, man, I know you're trying to get your stuff back together. I got, I don't have a huge crew, but I got, I'm here every day training. I don't need nothing from you, bro.
Right.
Like, I know that you're still rebuilding your life and people are trying to grab things from you. I'm working with the best athletes on the planet. Like, I just need a training partner that's fucking about it. And I know you're a fucking gym head, which he is. And he was like, shit, let's go. And he started, I think we trained together for about a year straight. And along that process, he was starting to try to figure out, he's starting to do some speaking and trying to figure it out. But I told him, I was like, Mo, I just done this book. Let's take all that stuff from, he had that blog that was real popular
when he was in jail,
he was in jail that Ashley was writing. So let's take all that shit down and let's make it into a book. And I helped Mo put that book together. That was like one of my main contributions to try to get him, like help him get back together. I mean, Mo, here's what's crazy about Mo. When I saw Mo at the stadium, Beanie, selling stuff for $20, standing outside a stadium that he had 100,000 people, hollering for him, like to humble himself to restart at that level, bro. Right. I got a lot of respect for him. And so getting that book together, I know he sold $50,000 or $100,000 of that book over time. It just kind of helped him get some money going. Then the 30 for 30 hit, then his speaking tour, and then he's been lights out ever since then. And so but what's great about Mo too is when I was going through all that stuff with MusclePharm, Mo had been the person I relied on the most because he had been through the most. So I'm telling him, like, there's no one in my circle that could even identify with what I was going through, bro, except for Maurice. Right. Because I was like, Mo, this shit's fucking, like, there's some serious change about to come here, bro. Like, and I done worked all these years. And so he was the guy I relied on the most. And, through all those things, we just became really, really tight. And, that's how he introduced me to both you guys. And so it's like Mo's been a blessing to me, no question. And I think in return, I've been to him too.
Man, that's dope. I mean, to watch a guy come from the situation in which he did at Ohio State, going to jail, coming out of jail, and be able to be where he is at this point in time, and then doing it with somebody he was able to trust, and like you said, I didn't want nothing from him. That's the hardest thing, is finding somebody that don't want shit from you.
Man, and I told him that straight up, Boom. Like that was like the first thing I said. I was like, I know, even though you're in this point in your life, you can get in any room. And look, if something comes from our relationship, business wise or connections, then that's great. Right. But at the end of the day, man, and that's when he was like showing me love at the time. He was wearing the MusclePharm stuff through the 30 for 30. He was trying to show love back, which was awesome. And I was like, man, I don't even need all that. But at the end of the day, now we have a podcast with John Fosco, my business partner at Max Effort, Business and Biceps, and Mo offers an insight that no one else can mimic. Right. It's literally impossible to rip off. And yeah, I'm thankful every day. And I both those guys I've known for 10 years. They're both crazy. And I really being both their friends is amazing.
I can only imagine, man.
Oh yeah, Mo gives me a lot of street cred too. Yeah. Mo's like, I don't fuck with too many motherfuckers. Right. I'm like, yeah, I know.
No lie, brother. That's him though.
I know it is.
That is him, man. That is him.
He's funny.
Hey, speak on I mean, you got your own thing going on now. You got the Max Effort, man. Just speak on that now. Like how did that? I mean, obviously, I know you went through a lot, with MusclePharm, and now you got your own thing going. Just speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, so the transition was, like, I had done what I'm really known for you guys that don't really know me, is content based around fitness. So I did on bodybuilding.com, that's like the ESPN of like my space. Well, I had stuff with Arnold and myself. I'd done like 5 different, almost like mini movies that had trainers on them. They did like over 150 million page views. So like crazy amounts of volume. That's how people like internationally know me for my fitness stuff.
Right.
And so what I bridged the gap, when I left MP, I started a website called CoryGFitness.com. It's so funny because, you know, it's like $9 a month. People have access to the same stuff, new stuff that I kind of used to do for free, right? And it blew up right out the gate. Yeah. Super blessed. And then I signed with Reebok to, you know, like a 2-year deal or whatever to wear the shoes and some stuff. It was cool. And I would like tell people like Corys Fitness was killing it. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I got out of MusclePharm. Like I started this website. They'd be like, oh man, and then I'd be like, I signed with Reebok. Now Reebok, my whole year, I was making like in a month the fitness stuff that Reebok's paid me for the whole year. Yeah. People like Reebok, oh shit, you still blown up. Right. It's just so funny how perception is, right? So I was like, all right, well, cool. If that's what
they think, right?
Keep it low key, whatever. I'll just push the Reebok shit. I had a 1-year non-compete for supplements, and so I created this brand with John Fosco, direct to customer. And that's the thing from a business challenge, Beanies. Like I had done the retail thing, and I was like, what happens if I just have one door, meaning just the website?
Right.
I'm teaching these people training on my site. We got Old School, which is the local business, and then if I just sell supplements direct to their door, I ain't even messing with GNC, I ain't messing with Costco. What does that look like? And I wanted a chance to try both. So when I stand in front of some business school someday, I can say, yo, I built it 2 ways. The cool thing is the balance sheets look completely different.
Right.
This balance sheet's way sexier than the old one. The other one, the top level
was crazy.
The top level was dope, but the bottom level was nothing. And so it's like it's an interesting thing. And then we had the podcast, and then I've got another business that's around, you know, CBD oil is this huge business right now, and just like really on the front side of that, Ohio's got some weird laws, so I ain't really messing with it here. But in Charleston, South Carolina, we got a business that's getting ready to open down there. So I got literally about 5 businesses between all of this stuff that's cranking.
You booming.
I'm booming. I'm booming.
No, that's
I'm just trying to keep it all together.
Going back to what you were just saying about the profits and loss margins, people don't really realize that. They think just because you're in a store or because you own a store,
right,
you automatically doing better.
You're
I got
balling.
this store, my shit is in GNC, my shit is here, I'm killing the game. Well, no, man, it costs money to put shit on shelves, and if you can do it and cut out the middleman essentially, which are the stores, and you can do a direct-to-consumer relationship, I mean, that's business 101 right there.
Yeah,
cut out the middleman
and already had the following.
Exactly.
So it's like it made the most sense. And partnered up with John, I told him right out the gate, Fosco's amazing with forecast. Like I knew he had the things that I didn't have from a business standpoint, just from dealing with him when he was my marketing guy back at MusclePharm. So John, my partner in this, he was the main UFC agent. So he had like 40 guys under contract. He ran all the marketing through the cage. So I spent like $1 million in marketing a year with him. And so so me and him had already worked together like 6 or 7 years. So I saw the game he had because he was gaming me.
Right.
And so like so we was on the same side of the table. I was like, all right. And I knew I could pinpoint, like, man, I'm not. And this is the thing with me. I'm pretty on. I'm like, dude, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I know you are. What I didn't realize is how good he is at, you know, traditional marketing too, like within the business, from the gear to the supplements, the ideas, the CBD stuff was like he's ahead of a lot of stuff. And so we meshed real good, man. And this business is just taking off like a rocket ship. It's exciting.
You guys are killing it,
man. That's amazing, man.
And you're quietly. I mean, it's some big hitters that are rocking the max effort. I mean,
DeAndre Hopkins texted me yesterday.
Right.
Ooh.
Exactly. I mean, Ronda Rousey was rocking the shit.
Ronda Rousey, yeah. So, I mean, it's like, you know, my dude Dose, so there's this is the thing. Remember, you hooked me up with Dose, right? When you was down in Houston with DeVere, right?
Yep.
Originally, and then when Braxton was there. So, like, this is what's so crazy. I've been doing this so long now. Dose, who's down at
got the gym down in Houston.
Yeah, he got the gym down in Houston. He's Harden's trainer, bro. This guy was looking up to me when he was young.
Right.
And then he started coming up through the Texans. And before you know it, he's put me on like he's texting me with the Fertitta dude that owns the Rockets, DeAndre.
That's cool.
He got Cushing and all them guys down there, which are retired. Cool. They're still all taking it. Man, he got the whole squad down there taking my stuff. That's what the craziest thing is now that I've been doing this on a big level since like 2008 to 10. you're talking 8-9 years. Some of these dudes been following my workouts since they was in 7th grade, Beanie.
It's crazy.
It is. And now they're showing love back. Like the craziest one was, not the craziest one, but one of the craziest ones. Like I love golf, you know, so do you, and I know you're trying. So, and so the PGA hit me up last year, right? Dude from the PGA. I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, I think we want to do some content. I'm like, for real? He's like, man, I used to do Get Swole playing back in the day. I'm like, you know? So when this dude was in college, he was doing my stuff from bodybuilding.com, and now he's like, they're trying to have me come down there and do content with the PGA. It's like, so it's kind of cool to see things like that kind of come around, you know?
You know, talk about at least how important it is, and really how important it is, one, to kind of build that brand and make it a reputable brand to where you're able to monetize it, but then talk about how you're able to monetize the brand and your following. A lot of people can't do that. I mean, I got 60,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not getting a dime. Not to say that I'm trying to get a dime from any one of those followers, but it would be nice if I can figure out something to monetize that, because a lot of times that becomes people's business and people don't necessarily know how to tap into it.
So that right there is probably like my most like unique skill set that probably creates the most haters for me.
I bet.
So it's like I think because my whole concept of social media in 2008, and I'll try to make this a quick story, but this is kind of how it happened. I was at a UFC fight with one of the dudes who owned Tap Out. His name, they call him Punk Ass. He was a dude who used to wear a bandana. And he said to me, he's like, you on social media? I'm like, nah, I ain't really, fucked with that yet. He's like, dude.
You tripping.
And he had just had like a show that was on one of the shows. I mean, they were blown up at the time. Yeah. He's like, man, especially in your business, if you interact with the fans and you embed yourself in the brand, he's like, because they had just got bought out and they had to pay him pretty heavy because he was so embedded in the brand just to like hang out at fights and shit. I was like, this shit makes sense. And this is before I thought about doing daily workouts and all this kind of stuff. So I went home and signed up for Twitter. And as I signed up and I started seeing it started to become a customer service thing. Yeah. People were like, yo, how do I take creatine? How do I do this? How do I do that? So, man, and that's when Twitter was hot. So 2010, man, I'm answering, like, I'm talking like 100, 200 messages a day at least. And so I started to think, I'm like, if I just apply this like I do in the gym, if you come into old school gym and ask me, I'm going to tell you the same thing, right? And so I was like, if I can keep this up as this shit starts growing, and then when I signed Ocho Cinco and Mike Vick at the same time, they would tweet out. Oh, man, they would be like this. If you want a workout advice, it was nothing about supplements. I was my whole covert plan. You want workout advice, go to Cory G at MusclePharm Prez at the time. Dude, I'd add 5,000 from each time they would tweet it. Wow. So I was adding like 10,000 new people a week like that. That's how I built that. And then once I had them in my funnel, then I was just giving them free stuff. And then it's like this. Oh, you done like my arm workout. Oh, you like my shoulder workout. You're about to buy protein. Why not try mine? I didn't even have to ask you. You see what I'm saying? And so the monetization part was really based around a customer service base that I just hoped you would give me a chance when it was time to buy something, because I had already affected you in some type of manner that you almost felt obligated in a weird way, right? Or at least to give me a chance. And so as I've got older and now I'm not doing that, it's still the same way. I'm still high. Like, people can't believe I answer every direct message on Instagram. I answer every tweet, every Facebook I'm not very good at, but those two. And so, man, it changes. I always think like the guy I used to follow, like, was the guy from EAS, Bill Phillips. He's old. He used to be messing with Shannon Sharp and Romanowski and all them guys. And I thought to myself, I don't believe I'm him, but I figure wise, I would think, like, if that dude would have told me how to use my supplements, if I'd asked him, I would have never not used his supplements, because it creates that kind of impact, what I'm saying, on these young kids. And so really that's how I started the model, and I've just carried it on. And then whatever I feed into it, there's a thing that says, like, if you have 1,000 true fans, you can essentially have a business. Right. I think I have 10 to 20,000, to be honest with you. And they've supported me as have I supported them. It's not a one-way street.
Right. And that's a beautiful thing, man. You see it on your social media, the reaction that somebody gets from you responding to a message,
interacting,
or to when I seen those things where you FaceTime certain fans, bro. They fucking light up. I mean, it's no different from an athlete to where they signing that autograph when they taking that picture with that kid.
Exactly.
They light up and they're going to follow you forever. Yeah, man. Based off of that interaction.
You just gotta. You can't take it for granted. That's the thing. Like, I still can't believe, Beanie, when people recognize me, that it's a thing. Right. Like, Maurice used to tell me all the time, "Hey, G, once you sign that autograph one time, you ain't never the same." And so for me, it's just like I just can't really believe it worked.
Man, that's
to be honest.
a beautiful thing to be able to see that and to be able to just see you and just know you and know your story and know where you're going and how everything is transpired. Thanks, man. It's dope. Hit on a little bit of the CBD stuff because that's something that's big right now.
It's huge right now.
A lot of people don't necessarily know about. People instantly hear CBD, they think of marijuana. You're taking drugs. What are you doing? Right. You can't do that shit. My fellow drug tests at work. Not the same with everything.
Yeah, so what's crazy about, as we kind of got in this process of releasing a CBD oil through Max Effort Muscle, maxeffortmuscle.com, little shameless plug.
Go there.
Is that anxiety, inflammation, man, there's so many of those problems that average people deal with, and there's no way to manage it other than pharmaceutical. CBD oil, originally from marijuana and hemp both, has been known about since like the 20s or 30s. And you have receptors, they've never been hit unless you smoke weed all the time, basically, right? But you got the THC, so that's what you're really feeling. But when you take the THC out of it, you get people that have anxiety, people that have high levels of inflammation. It manages all that stuff. And plus other things they're still finding out. And it's been suppressed for all these years. And now finally it's coming up in a big way. Now it goes from state to state. Like I said, Ohio's got some crazy laws, so I try to not really fuck with it a whole bunch here. But as a country, President Trump just signed what was called the Farm Bill, 2019 Farm Bill, that basically legalized the shipping of the raws, and it took a bunch of regulations off the hemp farmers, and it made it way easier for production. And so now the business is it's going to be bazillions,
right?
Because now what the problem is, though, the pharmaceutical companies are going to start to, because they know it's going to dip in their pocket. But here's what I like. I've been training people and helping them lose weight and feel better for years. To have people reach out and say, look, my kid, or my high schoolers had severe anxiety and can manage it without taking some crazy pharmaceuticals that has all these side effects. Dude. And John has clinically, anxiety, and he's down half his meds. And to see it help people lifestyle-wise is unbelievable. But it's not drugs. It's a byproduct of the hemp plant. It has below 0.3 THC. I've never heard of anybody not passing a drug test. Maybe if they drink 7 bottles of it, I don't know. I'm sure someone probably tried.
Right.
But we've saw nothing but amazing. The outreach of people and how it's helped them has been pretty dramatic, man. So I feel good about that. And so, we ship all over the country, but we follow the guidelines to it. Yeah.
MaxEffortMuscle.com.
Yeah, for
sure.
Check
it out. G, you worked with so many people and so many different areas of life in terms of athletes, big time celebrities, movie stars. Who's been the craziest person you've worked with in terms of just like a wild individual, like, damn, this dude really does some wild ass shit. And then from the perspective of like, damn, I can't even believe, outside of Arnold, we know your relationship with Arnold, but it's like, I can't even believe I'm working with this guy and I can reach out to him at will.
Yeah, one of the craziest dudes I worked with was Sean Merriman. That motherfucker's crazy.
Wow.
So I had this story, and no shit, he posted a picture from this event I went to with Sean in Vegas. So I was in Vegas with Sean, and we went to this party, and it was like Lil Jon, Holly Madison, Sean, and Ray Lewis, right? So I'm up in this bitch with these guys, and I'm like, this shit is crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it was like one of those things where there was a second where everybody got a picture, but I was like kind of that dude outside of it, so I felt like weird fanboy in it. Yeah. He posted a picture the other day, and I was like pissed at myself. I didn't jump in and just say fuck it, man. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was that, and Sean was like interesting because he was super recognizable. A lot of guys that play football, you guys don't play with, you play with your helmets on. Right. So, but he was a cat that was out in the media. So dealing with him, and he's just an aggressive kind of crazy dude. So that was pretty interesting, especially being in Vegas. I'm trying to think. Other than that, I think, dealing with Mike Vick was interesting because Mike had a whole different feel to him. I think once he came back from prison, he was really like, I remember one time, we were so crazy back then. I think I was behind paying him one time, and he called me and he said, "Gee, I ain't even stressing like you being late. I know you're going to get me." He's like, "But the people stressing me because I'm still owing on these taxes and all. He was just getting his shit together. And even to this day, if I need something from Mike or if I hit him up about something, he responds back. He appreciates that I was one of the first guys taking a chance on him. Me and him and Marcus was real cool. Working with him was unique because, I mean, my old man grew up an Eagles fan too. So like when he went to the Eagles and watching him revive his life, that was cool to just be a part of. You know, because that's the thing is, man, like everybody makes mistakes, but being part of like the next part of life was cool and being able to be. But there's been so many occurrences where I've dealt with people that I just couldn't even believe I was in the room with them at times. You know, messing with Tiger Woods was interesting, man. Because I was, you know, what was cool about Tiger, some great stories with Tiger. I met with him for an 8-hour day, which is a long time to spend with Tiger Woods, for videos and stuff like that for the deal. And we had lunch it was at Trump National Golf Course in Florida, actually. It's crazy because at the time, if Donald was in a meeting, he knew Tiger was at the course. They sent word to us like, if Donald gets out of this meeting, he's about to chop her down and fucking land on the golf course and like kick it. So I was like this close, even though I'm not a Trump fan, but I was this close to having all that happen. And so I was out on the range with Tiger, and he's just talking to me, and he's doing that thing like he did like on the golf commercial where he's just bouncing the ball. Dude, I ain't never seen no shit like this before. He was like 15, 20 times talking to me, puts it between his leg a couple more times, flips it up, hits it like a baseball, and it goes like this and right in the middle of the fairway. I was just like, I mean, just at such a great level. And when I'm asking him, like, Tiger, what, out of all these injuries and all the shit you've been through, like, what do you get out of bed? Like, what is, he's like, man, I'll fucking win, bro. Like, I'm a fucking winner. I want to win. I win. Like, win. That's it.
That's that motivation right there,
bro.
man.
Like, straight up. Like, he didn't have shit else to say. I want to fucking win. And I'll work and work and work. And then when I sat down and had lunch with him, he was like, he had done his research, bro. I was tripping. He was asking me about when you got ready for this photo shoot, what'd you do with your diet? He's a student of fitness, nutrition, and man, like super smart, bro. And he understands strength and training. And man, we just got along, and we're a similar age. We got along real well. And 2 weeks later, he was at the memorial. And so I took Alex up, and we was chilling as he was. It was on the practice day, and I saw him on like hole 10 or something. He kind of like gave me like, yo, what's up? Like this show. And his dude come over and he's like, hey, Tiger gonna come over and see you next hole. He's like, he told me you almost deadlift 600 pounds. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm tripping like, Tiger would just say this shit to me. And so what the coolest thing was, he was walking up to the tee box and he beelined right for me. So the crowd was like, where the fuck is Tiger going? And he come over and dapped me up and met Alex. And he was like, man, come on under the ropes, man. We walked like 3 holes with him, right?
Wow.
I ain't got a fucking single picture to fucking, like, because I just
it's out there somewhere. Somebody
got to be a picture.
You was probably just so
tripping, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's like MJ. I mean, there's no better. I mean,
larger than life.
Man, come on. So things like that are just things that I'll, you know, I can't even believe that happened, bro.
Have you ever met Mike Tyson?
No, not Mike Tyson or Michael Jordan. Those are on my list for sure.
Mike is one of those guys I definitely want to meet, man. He just
absolutely. Maurice loves him.
Yeah,
he's always talking about Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, like that's definitely two people I'd love to meet. I mean, Michael Jordan, who's like seems to kind of be a degenerate at times, but at the end of the day, I think he'd be cool. He's just his mindset. Or I'd really like to get around Kobe actually, because I think Kobe has that Mike feel to him. But he articulates it, and he's in the media because he's a little younger, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, I've been listening to a lot of Kobe stuff, man. That killer mentality, like I like that.
That's just real with Kobe, man.
He don't fucking play.
Different animal. I mean, it's like a light switch. He cuts that shit off and on.
Yeah.
And so I can identify with that a lot because the way that I operate daily.
Right.
Kobe, a lot of stuff that he spits is like all the stuff. The stuff that he's talking about is all stuff I kind of did naturally, and I've just kind of morphed over time. And I really don't know any other way. I know this set of things that work. I try to make it better over time, and I just consistently do it because that's how I win.
Imagine, I don't know if y'all been seeing this, but have y'all seen how Kobe like tweets like certain players? Like imagine like
he does like that behind the scenes stuff for ESPN where he did with Jason Tatum and some other guys. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Kobe's insight's amazing, man. Like I said, I've been listening to him a lot. I listen to Denzel Washington a lot. One of the things that I learned from Denzel listening to his stuff was he talked about, look, I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Can't take shit
You
with
can't
you.
take shit with you. He said the Egyptians tried and they got robbed.
Right. Straight up.
Yeah. So I mean, I try to grab stuff from all these different people. But I'm a heavy sports fan, and I'm always paying attention to all that stuff. So.
Gee, what's the biggest thing that you always got a team around you working hard as hell. What's the biggest message that you rely to that team if they're going to be around you? It's like if you're going to be here, you got to do this, that, and the third. What's that criteria?
So that's
to be a part of Cory G's squad.
That's a great question, Beanie. So here's what I've learned. I've learned that if they're not a peer in the same age, I have an extremely hard time.
Mm-hmm.
It never works. So like John, for instance, Dustin, peers, they're the same age, and I've been knowing Dustin forever, so that's a different.
Right.
But John's a peer businessman, roughly the same age as me. We're cool. I had other guys the same age as me that worked with me. They couldn't fight the hate. They just couldn't fight the hate. Even though I was giving guys opportunities,
Right.
I was helping them grow wealth, I was teaching them shit, but because they worked a regular job for 15 years ain't my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they could never get past it. I tried it multiple times. It never worked. What I found out, younger dudes like my boy Trey that's here, it's helping with the video, guys in the office, Jacob Pontius, I got this kid named Brandon, I got Danny Wald. Like I got these young, hungry dudes that, and Cole Suzak, who loves you guys. I got these guys that they want to learn so much. They're like 20 to 25,
Right.
26. And there's no hate because they're learning.
Mm-hmm.
They don't expect to be where I'm at already.
Right.
Once they start counting my money and counting what I'm doing and think it's theirs, it's fucked up. And
Got
so,
problems.
you're right. Yeah. So I think that what I've learned is I do better with younger people that want to hustle, and I want them to win, man. If I win, they win, and then they're going to go off and do their own thing and kill it. And I'm going to be like this. So it's like I've learned that's who I do the best with, and that's who my demo is online too, bro. The younger people, and I do have some guys that are respectful that are our age or whatever, but actually working with me on a regular basis, I've had a really hard time with that, man. And it's not because I don't believe, at least from the way I acted, is that I was given opportunities. It just, I think it's hard when it's in your face, and even though I'm not a super flashy person, it's just like it eats at people. And I've tried it like 3 or 4 times, it just never worked.
I asked the question because I'm in business.
Yeah.
I own companies, and when you look at who is working around you, who are your employees, or who are the people that you put in the positions of power. I mean, a lot of times you're only as good as the team that you have
No question.
around you. And some of the time, in my trucking shit, I mean, I failed at times because I had some shitty people around me.
Dude,
Big time.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked the
Listen,
question. I mean, you're super successful in everything.
I've had to
so.
fire like legitly like 4 or 5 people I've trained with too. I've given these guys opportunities. Cory, who cheers for you in the gym, is different than Cory who's in the office.
Right.
And I'll flip the fuck out because I have an expectation level. Like, I'm a nice guy, but at the end of the day, I can only give you so many chances, man.
Right.
And like, this ain't no fucking charity shit, you know? So it's like, I tell them like, yo, I gave you 9 shots because I like you. We can still be cool in the gym, but I'm about my money and my business, and I want you to be successful, but I have an expectation level you just have to deliver on. And honestly, it's busy, but it's not outrageous. It's just really consistent, and I think it wears people down. So it's like, I know what it takes, and if you can deliver on this, there's only going to be more and more opportunities. And if you can't, someone else got to get on the ride. That's just the way it is.
Consistency, people.
That is the biggest thing. People get worn down because the day-to-day consistency it takes to be successful is monotonous, bro. It's extremely monotonous, and for some reason, that's the pocket I live in. And I don't mind it. I'm eating shots, and I just kind of stay in there, you know?
For sure. Yeah, we're good.
You good?
Yeah.
You got anything else, Boom?
I mean, you pretty much hit on everything, man.
Try to. Let's
Pretty
talk
much
Ohio State
everything.
real quick.
You want to talk about Ohio State?
Yeah.
Let's do
absolutely.
it, man. Let's definitely.
What do you? I'm going to give you my 2 cents as Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. What do you think about that? I'm going to give you my 2 cents. I want to hear your 2 cents.
All right, cool.
So
Are you lost right now? What's going on, man?
I'm running y'all's fucking podcast now. Listen, I was around Urban and around Nikki because she's in fitness stuff, right? So I know Nikki Meyer for a while, and I was around Urban a couple times. Urban walks in the room. He's such a fucking rock star, bro.
Right.
Like rock star. You feel it on him, even more than Tress, right? It's like rock star, Hollywood, and I'm sure in recruiting it probably feels the same way, right? I don't even know Ryan Day, but when I see that cat, it seems to me like we're getting like Earl Bruce back or something. Is that that's all only from outsider looking in, but I feel like maybe he got some of the pop that he learned or has. Like I said, I don't know him at all, but it just seems like I think the football program, one, will be better off. Hate to say it. I do love the era. But two, I think it's going to be grimier and less Hollywood, but I think the results might be a little bit better long term. Now, I might get roasted for that.
No,
but
I agree with you.
I'm with you 100%.
You guys,
Yeah.
is that a fair statement, you think?
I agree with you totally. I mean, if you go back and look at the first 3 games of last year, we was freaking rolling.
That's what I'm
you know
saying,
what Everybody
bro.
had their swagger. Everybody was playing, loose. Man, Urban came back, man. It was like everybody was like, like, what should we do? Can I do this? Can I do that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, and there was a tweener phase because they knew the power was about to shift. I'm sure most of those guys knew that was coming. You know what I'm saying? But I think it'll be exciting to see him over the next 2 to 3 years and what he can do for the program. And I'm a huge Buckeye fan, man. I'm glued to the TV every weekend. Huge fan, and I'm excited to see. And I don't think the recruit, because Urban's still around the program. That's the smart thing. They can still use that Hollywood pop, but I think the griminess of what Ryan Day seems to have from an outside in. Now, Mickey Marotti, who's from like kind of the area where me and Dustin grew up, like he got that grime to him. I can see it a mile away. Yeah. So I think that's going to be. I think it's going to be real cool, man. I'm excited to see what they do.
I think it's going to be sweet too, man. I definitely get what you're saying, though. Urban is such a larger-than-life figure.
He is.
But
he commands it when he walks in a room. You can feel
no question.
it.
He can do that because of the guys that he's coached. When you look at his track record, the Alex Smiths of the world, the Tim Tebows, the Percy Harvins.
Oh, it's all warranted.
A shitload of individuals that he's coached at different places. But I could see Ryan Day morphing into that. I think when you look at the fact that Ohio State, we always going to be talked about as one of the top teams in the country.
Sure.
If he puts together recruiting classes and he puts together offenses like we had last year with Dwayne Haskins, and we put out first-round picks like we're probably going to do this year, that's going to be Ryan Day in a couple of years. But he got big-ass shoes to fill because when you look at it and you break it down, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, Earl Bruce, Coach Coop, Jim Tressel, Urban Meyer, all 4 of those guys are Hall of Fame college football coaches.
Yeah.
So he got big shoes to fill. The expectation is all the way up here.
You don't seem scared, though.
No, hell
when
no.
When you see, like I said, this is all just watching on Twitter.
Yeah.
I see it. Like, I pay attention to all, like, the intangible things, like just the mannerisms and the way the guys rally, and I've always been into that kind of stuff, so I can feel it from, like, no disrespect to Urban. I think he's a fucking boss.
Yeah.
Like, but it's cool for a new era.
Right.
So it's exciting.
It's time, man. Who was your outside of, Maurice and his team, like when you were growing up, what was the Ohio State team? Who was they loaded with that you was like, damn, this is one of the baddest teams that I've ever seen come through here? Hey,
the guy where I grew up, man, is Joey, bro. Like Joey Galloway is a legend where I'm from. He's a legend everywhere, but where I'm from, like, you got to remember in Ohio Valley, there was like, when I grew up, there was really no one that I looked up to. Mm-hmm. I didn't really have, other than my grandfather, I didn't really have like an athlete or a businessman. Like, but Joey was the one that was just like, I remember, man, I was probably like in like 6th grade or something. Joey's throwing shit off the backboard, dunking behind his head. Like, he got every speed, track record. He just had so much swag. He played 16 years in the league. Like, I got a chance to know him from some of them charity events, and we're so cool. And like, and I told him before, and I saw him and John Butchiegrass. I saw him and John Butchiegrass, and he's from back home too. Mm-hmm. I saw both them dudes on ESPN together. 2 guys where I grew up on SportsCenter together. Right. And I messaged them both like, motherfucker, this is awesome.
Hey,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Dope.
Like, hell
That's
yeah.
dope.
And I was like, and I told Joey, like, to be able to look up to somebody that did these things, and you obviously had his amazing gifts. The guy's a fucking freak. Still at like 50, however old he is. And it's like, but Joey is by far, even though I was a little bit younger, that was the guy I paid attention to just because he's from where I'm from.
And bro, playing in those charity games, Corey used to put on these charity games for
Mark Ryan.
Yeah, for Mark Ryan, who was a firefighter who had cancer.
Yep.
And the teams that he would assemble
they
with
were
these charity
stacked,
games,
bro.
Dude, you can put him in any 7-on-7 football league, flag football league, and we would light that ass up. And Joey was out there running, blazing past motherfuckers. That shit tripped me out. It would trip me out watching him just fly by cats.
The craziest thing, and I finally got just like a taste of what you got. Like, we was at the end of some of them games, and Wilhelm would be on one side barking out orders because he didn't want to lose.
Yeah.
Maurice is huddling upside. I know this is charity, but I ain't trying to fucking lose.
Oh, you already know that. Hey, that's Reese.
Yeah, I mean, so it was exciting to see, and what's dude's name that sung the national anthem?
C. Grant.
Yeah, C. Grant was there singing Carmen, Ohio. Like, it was real cool. And that's the kind of thing that came from having a relationship with Maurice. Like that kind of thing, to be able to rally all the guys together, leveraging his relationship and knowing all you guys. And that was exciting. But yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Just blessed to have these contacts and do those type of things, man.
Man, it's beautiful, man. It's been beautiful having you on, man. This is it's been incredible for me, obviously, to get to know you over the years, but to be able to get some of your insight on this show, get you on the show, and people don't even know. I mean, what inspired us doing a podcast was Cory G.
Yeah, I was relentless saying, you
no
motherfuckers
question.
gotta quit slipping.
Hey.
There's nobody else that was on us as much as you were about getting a podcast done. And he kind of sparked it in my mind when you talked about what you and Maurice were doing and how well it was doing. And then when I got a chance to do it for the first time, I'm like, damn, this shit is really therapeutic.
It's so fulfilling.
Like, hats off, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no,
I
I'm
love it.
proud of you guys, man.
sure.
And when you're
For
big
sure.
time down on like doing your own game day at Ohio State, you just got to put me on one time.
No question.
You coming on for
You
sure.
were the reason, for sure,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
We greatly appreciate having you on today, man. And, this week's podcast was sponsored by Sprint, powered by Mobile Center. Check out a Mobile Center near you for all your Sprint